Power is not a thing. It's an energy that flows between people. It's present in every conversation, every workplace, every relationship, unseen, yet shaping everything. Robert Greene begins the 48 Laws of Power with a timeless truth. Humans are political creatures, and whether we admit it or not, we're constantly navigating hierarchies of influence. The key isn't to deny this, but to understand it, so we can move with intention rather than ignorance. To make this journey through power easier to follow and more impactful, the summary unfolds in 3 seamless parts, each revealing a deeper layer of strategy, psychology, and mastery. Part 1. The Birth of Power. The first lesson is as old as kingship itself. Never outshine the master. In a world obsessed with recognition, this law teaches restraint. When you make those above you feel insecure or overshadowed, you trigger envy, the silent killer of progress. Consider the workplace. A talented employee who openly flaunts brilliance can threaten a superior who fears being replaced. History repeats this endlessly. Think of how Steve Jobs, after showing brilliance at Apple, was ousted in 1985 by the very executives who once admired him. He had outshone his masters. Yet, when he returned years later, he played the opposite card, empowering others, letting them shine, all while holding the invisible strings of vision and direction. The lesson: power isn't about proving you're the brightest in the room. It's about making others feel safe in your light. That naturally leads to the second principle. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Friends can betray you emotionally. Enemies, however, act predictably. They have something to prove. Abraham Lincoln understood this so deeply that he filled his cabinet with political rivals. By transforming opposition into partnership, he turned conflict into fuel. The same principle applies today when business leaders hire former competitors. Enemies sharpen your edges. They keep you alert. The defense here? Don't confuse friendliness for loyalty. Watch actions, not words. Trust should be earned, not assumed. Conceal your intentions. Power thrives in mystery. When your moves are too visible, people resist or sabotage them. Think of how Elon Musk plays this law. He reveals just enough about his plans, colonizing Mars, building neural links, to inspire awe, but never the full path. It keeps competitors guessing, the public fascinated, and the market attentive. To practice this law, learn to master silence. When people can't read your motives, they fill the blanks with fascination. Yet, on the defensive side, remember, others may be concealing their own plans, so always look beyond words. Ask, what's the move behind the move? The next current of power flows through appearances. Always say less than necessary. Words are like arrows. Once released, they can't be taken back. Power lies in economy. Observe how Beyoncé operates. She rarely grants interviews, speaks sparingly, and lets her work do the talking. The result? Every word becomes gold. Every silence an event. The powerful speak less because mystery magnifies perception. Meanwhile, those who talk too much reveal cracks in their armor. The defense? Don't be seduced by silence. Sometimes it hides calculation. Learn to read between pauses. Greene's fifth insight is almost paradoxical. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. In the digital age, your reputation is your currency. One false move can destroy years of credibility. Think of Will Smith's Oscars incident. One act, one moment, reshaped how millions saw him. Reputation determines opportunities before words are spoken. To master it, act as if your name were a brand. Protect it from rumors, but don't overreact. When attacked unfairly, respond with strength and clarity, never desperation. The powerful don't chase their reputation, they curate it. Then comes a sharper turn, court attention at all costs. To be invisible is to be powerless. But Greene isn't telling us to be loud. He's telling us to be visible. Attention is the oxygen of influence. Donald Trump understood this long before politics. By keeping his name in constant circulation, he built an empire of recognition. Even controversy can be useful if it keeps you in the conversation. Yet, power demands balance. Attention without value becomes noise. Learn to attract attention through substance, not scandal. Defensively, be aware. Attention seekers often manipulate emotions to pull you into their orbit. Stay objective. Not every spectacle deserves your focus. Once you command attention, the next move is strategic positioning. Get others to do the work, but always take the credit. It sounds ruthless, but in reality, it's about leveraging talent. Every major CEO does this, delegating tasks while owning the vision. It's how leaders amplify results. But the defense is equally vital. If you're the one doing the work, make your contributions visible. Document, communicate, and ensure your value is known. Power rewards visibility, not silent labor. Now, Greene moves into the subtle art of timing. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. When you chase, you signal weakness. When others approach, you hold the frame. Think of how Apple creates scarcity with product launches, limited reveals, high anticipation, and waiting lists. Customers feel privileged to buy. The same psychology applies in relationships and negotiations. The strong attract, the desperate pursue. The defense? Don't be the fish chasing bait. Learn to recognize when your desires are being played. Win through actions, never through argument. Debate rarely changes minds. Demonstration does. In 2020, Netflix didn't argue it was superior. It simply kept producing irresistible content until competitors followed. Power is not in convincing, but in showing results that silence critics. When words fail, evidence conquers. The defensive wisdom. When someone tries to draw you into endless arguments, step back. They're trying to drain your energy. The truly powerful don't fight with noise. They win with proof. The next lesson speaks to emotional intelligence. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Energy is contagious. Some people bring storms wherever they go, others sunlight. It's not cruelty to protect your peace, it's survival. Studies show proximity shapes psychology. Surround yourself with progress, and you mirror it. Surround yourself with misery, and you'll inhale its poison. Power grows in fertile soil. Choose your environment wisely. Yet be compassionate. Not everyone who suffers wants to drag you down. The defense lies in discernment. Help the willing, but protect your spirit from the perpetual victim. From here, the narrative deepens. Learn to keep people dependent on you. This isn't manipulation, it's leverage. The world rewards those who make themselves indispensable. In any company, the person who solves rare problems commands security. Think of how data engineers, cybersecurity experts, or brilliant strategists never lack jobs, because their value is irreplaceable. Dependence breeds loyalty. Defensively, however, beware of becoming too dependent on anyone else, financial, emotional, or social. Independence is your shield. Interdependence is your strategy. The next current of power demands transformation. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. The world trusts acts of goodwill. Smart leaders give first, but strategically. Bill Gates' philanthropy, for example, isn't just kindness. It strengthens reputation, influence, and access. A genuine gift can soften resistance and open doors words never could. The defense? Remember that generosity can be a tool of persuasion. Accept kindness, but always question timing and intent. Then comes one of the book's most subtle lessons. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. Humans are motivated by benefit, not obligation. Even in friendship or partnership, the unspoken question is, what's in it for me? This isn't cynicism, it's realism. When proposing collaboration, highlight the win-win. Make others see your success as their gain. The defensive angle? Beware of appeals to pity. They often mask manipulation. Genuine partnerships rest on mutual advantage. And so the web of power thickens. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. Information is the foundation of influence. The more you know about others' motives, fears, and desires, the stronger your hand. In business, data is gold for a reason. Knowledge predicts behavior. Greene's law reminds us to listen more than we speak, observe more than we reveal. But defense here is critical. Never reveal too much of yourself too soon. Protect your data, emotional, personal, or digital. The modern world spies through algorithms. Awareness is your armor. The final movement of Part 1 circles back to perception. Crush your enemy totally. Half measures breed revenge. When you must confront, do it decisively. In politics, think of how Nelson Mandela, instead of retaliating after apartheid, crushed the idea of vengeance itself by embracing reconciliation. His victory was total because he disarmed hate with grace. Crushing your enemy doesn't always mean destruction. It can mean transforming the battleground entirely. The defense? Know when to retreat. Total war is costly. True power lies in ending battles, not prolonging them. Part 2. The Rise of the Strategist. Power doesn't just belong to those who act. It belongs to those who understand. Once you've mastered visibility, mystery, and timing, the next frontier is psychological control over yourself and others. It's the ability to move through chaos with precision, to command without shouting, and to influence without appearing to. The first lesson in this evolution: use absence to increase respect and honor. In an age of overexposure, scarcity breeds value. When you are too available, your presence loses its gravity. Think of how luxury brands operate. They release limited collections, creating anticipation and prestige. Even in relationships or leadership, a bit of distance can deepen appreciation. Jay-Z and Beyoncé both understand this. They disappear from the public eye only to re-emerge with projects that dominate the conversation. Their silence becomes strategy. Yet, absence is a blade that cuts both ways. Vanish too long, and you're forgotten. The defense here lies in balance. Appear just enough to remind the world of your worth, but not so much that they take you for granted. Power is maintained through rhythm, presence, and withdrawal in calculated doses. From scarcity, Greene shifts to adaptability. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Predictability breeds vulnerability. Once people can read your patterns, they can manipulate them. The most powerful individuals in business, politics, or personal life understand the art of surprise. Elon Musk exemplifies this perfectly. One day he's launching rockets, the next he's tweeting memes that move stock markets. This unpredictability keeps competitors off balance. But unpredictability isn't chaos, it's controlled confusion. When you occasionally act outside expectation, you project freedom, the sense that no one can fully anticipate your next move. The defense? When dealing with unpredictable people, never panic. They thrive on your reaction. Stay grounded, observe, and never mirror their volatility. Next, Greene takes us to one of the most misunderstood yet potent lessons. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. When you cut yourself off from the flow of information and people, you lose touch with reality. Leaders who isolate, whether CEOs surrounded by yes-men or politicians trapped in echo chambers, slowly lose power because they lose perspective. History shows this repeatedly. In 2020, many powerful companies fell behind not because of lack of resources, but because their executives were insulated from the truth of their customers. Connection is protection. Power requires awareness of the currents around you. But on the defensive side, avoid emotional isolation too. Bottling yourself up makes you easy to influence. The strongest fortress isn't distance, it's adaptability within connection. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. This law may sound obvious, but it's where most careers and alliances collapse. Every individual carries a different ego, sensitivity, and pride. What lightly offends one may destroy another. The powerful learn to read the emotional blueprint of those around them before acting. In the workplace, a misjudged joke or dismissal can turn an ally into a silent enemy. Greene warns, not everyone forgives, and not everyone forgets. The defensive application is empathy. Learn people deeply before you move against them. Even online, where outrage culture reigns, a careless word can ignite lasting backlash. Now the strategist must face a subtler challenge. Do not commit to anyone. Power favors flexibility. When you tie yourself too closely to one side, you inherit their limitations. The most influential figures in history, from Queen Elizabeth I to modern investors like Warren Buffett, mastered neutrality until the moment it served them to choose. They maintained the freedom to adapt. In our world, this might mean keeping your personal brand open to multiple opportunities, not being locked into rigid beliefs that limit your growth. But defense demands integrity. Neutrality should never become deceit. Stay loyal to your core values, but fluid in your alliances. The key is to commit to principles, not personalities. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. Underestimation is one of the most effective shields in the art of power. When people think you're less capable, they reveal more than they should. Alibaba's Jack Ma often played this card early in his career, presenting himself as humble, awkward, almost naive. Yet behind that mask lay strategic genius. In power games, appearing too sharp provokes defense. Appearing simple invites honesty. But the defensive wisdom is clear. Don't underestimate others based on their presentation. The truly intelligent often hide behind disarming humility. Next comes a universal truth. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. When cornered, the instinct is to fight. But sometimes, surrender creates space for a comeback. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, surrendered his freedom, but not his purpose. That surrender became moral leverage, granting him more power in peace than any weapon could in war. Even in business, smart companies pivot instead of resisting change. Blockbuster resisted streaming and died. Netflix adapted and rose. Surrender is not defeat, it's repositioning. The defense: know when surrender is strategic and when it's cowardice. The difference lies in whether you're retreating to recover or to escape accountability. From surrender arises a deeper insight. Concentrate your forces. The scattered lose energy. The focused multiply it. Success rarely favors those who dabble in everything. Think of how Elon Musk focuses intensely on a few grand visions: electric cars, reusable rockets, AI, rather than 1,000 small ventures. Power expands through focus because it channels attention and resources like a laser beam. But defense demands diversity. Too much concentration can lead to collapse if your foundation shakes. Balance mastery with adaptability. Focus deeply, but never bet everything on one fragile pillar. Play the perfect courtier. Greene describes the timeless figure who survives every regime. The person who knows how to navigate hierarchy with grace, flattery, and discretion. In modern terms, this is emotional intelligence. Reading rooms, managing egos, and earning influence without authority. Every corporate environment still runs on this principle. The perfect courtier doesn't bow in weakness. They bow in strategy. They know when to speak and when to listen, when to offer praise and when to disappear. The defensive side? Don't mistake courtesy for submission. Real grace is controlled power, not servitude. Recreate yourself. Identity is not fixed, it's designed. The powerful reinvent themselves continually, refusing to be trapped by their past. Madonna built her entire career on this law. Every reinvention a statement that she controls her narrative. In Nigeria, someone like Burna Boy embodies it too, blending Afrobeat, global influences, and evolving aesthetics to remain unpredictable and relevant. In a fast-changing world, reinvention is survival. You must adapt your image to fit the moment without losing your essence. But defend against reinvention for vanity's sake. Change that's not rooted in authenticity leads to confusion, not power. Then comes the law of contrast. Keep your hands clean. The powerful maintain an image of purity while letting others handle the dirty work. Every great leader has advisors, intermediaries, or scapegoats. This doesn't mean deceit, it means understanding optics. When tough decisions must be made, distance yourself from direct blame without abandoning accountability. Jeff Bezos, for example, often delegated controversial operational changes to executives while publicly focusing on vision and innovation. It kept his brand forward-looking even amid criticism. The defense? Don't allow yourself to become someone else's scapegoat. If you're the one doing the dirty work, ensure your role and rewards are clear. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Humans crave purpose, meaning, and leadership. Those who tap into this psychological need can mobilize massive influence. Apple mastered this by transforming customers into believers, not just buyers. The brand became a symbol of creativity and rebellion, more than a product. But here lies a moral edge. Manipulating belief without integrity leads to collapse. True power inspires rather than deceives. The defensive wisdom: never surrender your critical thinking to charisma. Whether it's a movement, religion, or influencer, question the narrative before joining the crowd. Enter action with boldness. Power hates hesitation. The world rewards decisive moves. Boldness has a magnetism that draws followers and silences doubt. When Oprah launched her network despite skepticism, it wasn't certainty that drove her. It was bold faith. Even failure looks dignified when approached with courage. Yet, defense is key. Boldness without wisdom is recklessness. Courage must be guided by preparation. Step boldly, but only after seeing the battlefield. Plan all the way to the end. Many lose power not through lack of effort, but lack of foresight. The powerful see beyond immediate victory. In chess, every move anticipates the next end. The same applies to business, politics, or relationships. Think long-term consequences, not short-term gains. Mark Zuckerberg's early vision of connecting people evolved into strategic acquisitions like Instagram and WhatsApp. Each move built toward an ecosystem, not isolated success. The defense? Don't be so rigid in your plan that you miss changing realities. The future belongs to those who plan deeply and pivot swiftly. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. True power hides struggle. When people believe success comes naturally to you, they perceive you as extraordinary. Michael Jordan trained relentlessly, yet made every dunk look effortless. The illusion of ease inspires awe. But defensively, remember, behind every effortless master lies disciplined repetition. Don't compare your backstage to someone else's highlight reel. Power grows from unseen preparation. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. The clever never fight on the enemy's terms. They frame the choices. Politicians do this constantly, offering two options, both leading to their desired outcome. In negotiation, framing determines power. If you shape the question, you shape the answer. The defense? Recognize when your choices are being engineered. When someone says you have two options, remember there's always a third, your own. Finally, Greene closes this phase of evolution with one of the most elegant powers: play to people's fantasies. Reality is often harsh. Fantasy gives hope. The powerful understand this, and weave dreams others want to believe. Disney built an empire on it. Visionary leaders paint pictures of tomorrow, not because they lie, but because they understand that progress begins in imagination. But here's the defense. Fantasy without delivery becomes fraud. Inspire, but always back inspiration with substance. Part 3. The Supreme Player. Power, when mastered, should no longer feel like war. It becomes rhythm, quiet, deliberate, and self-contained. The greatest players move unseen, influencing without forcing, commanding without shouting. Robert Greene begins this final evolution with a timeless paradox. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. When you crave something too openly, you give it power over you. Want is weakness, and weakness attracts manipulation. Think of how tabloids try to provoke celebrities into reaction. The one who ignores wins. Taylor Swift, once mocked by the media, learned this lesson. She stopped responding to rumors, rebuilt herself through her music, and turned silence into strategy. Her indifference disarmed her critics. The defensive side is wisdom. Do not chase what resists you. Redirect your desire into mastery. Power flows toward those who don't need, because need signals dependency, and dependency is surrender. From emotional detachment, Greene turns to the stage of leadership. Create compelling spectacles. Humans remember images, not explanations. Power must be seen to be believed. Modern politics thrives on this: rallies, visuals, symbolic gestures. Even in personal branding, storytelling through imagery builds authority. Elon Musk launching a Tesla into space wasn't about transportation. It was theater, a spectacle of vision. Think as you like, but behave like others. This law is the art of blending in while staying mentally independent. The powerful rarely reveal their inner world. They adapt outwardly to survive among wolves. In corporate culture, those who defy norms too soon are exiled. The wise play along, dress the part, speak the language, while quietly plotting innovation. Consider innovators like Steve Jobs or Thomas Sankara. Both outwardly played the system before redefining it. The lesson: you don't always need rebellion to win. Sometimes camouflage is the smarter armor. Defense here is self-awareness. Don't lose authenticity in conformity. Blend without disappearing. Next, Greene warns: stir up waters to catch fish. Calmness is your weapon. Chaos is your bait. When you keep your composure while others lose theirs, you gain dominance. The moment someone provokes you and you react emotionally, you hand them control. During interviews or negotiations, those who maintain silence often make others unravel. Politicians use this law like art, staying calm while opponents rage. In daily life, too, those who keep composure under criticism project strength. Defensively, beware of emotional traps. When someone tries to anger you, they're fishing for control. Never let them see you sweat. From emotion, Greene moves to patience. Despise the free lunch. Nothing valuable comes without cost. Free gifts often carry hidden hooks, obligations, debts, or manipulation. Every con artist begins with generosity. In business, free trials exist to build dependence. The powerful pay their way because payment preserves independence. But the defense is also self-check. Don't exploit generosity with cynicism. Genuine help exists. Discern the difference between grace and bait. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Inherit positions, not personalities. When you follow a legend, the shadow is long. Many political successors fail because they try to imitate predecessors instead of innovating. Tim Cook succeeded Steve Jobs not by copying him, but by quietly turning Apple into a stability machine. Power requires evolution, not imitation. You can learn from giants, but you must walk your own stride. Defense: when others compare you, let your results silence the past. Then comes the art of timing again. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Influence often centers around key figures. Silence them and chaos follows. In corporate politics, removing a toxic leader often resolves team dysfunction. But power must be exercised with precision, never through cruelty. Identify where true control lies before you move. The defensive angle: don't make yourself the shepherd of every situation. Spread leadership. Decentralize power so no one can destroy you by striking once. Work on the hearts and minds of others. Power sustained by fear alone collapses. True influence requires emotional loyalty. Nelson Mandela, after gaining political power, won hearts by forgiving rather than punishing. Emotional intelligence transforms authority into legacy. In business, great leaders inspire passion by aligning purpose with action. Apple doesn't sell gadgets, it sells creativity. Tesla doesn't sell cars, it sells the future. The defense? Protect your heart from emotional manipulation. Those who know your dreams can control your direction. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. People are drawn to familiarity. When you mirror someone's tone, energy, or opinion, they feel understood. Negotiators use this to build trust rapidly. But reflection can also provoke. When you subtly mimic an aggressor's hostility, they see their ugliness and collapse into confusion. Greene teaches, mirroring reveals truth without confrontation. But beware, being mirrored can also disorient. Stay grounded in self-awareness, so imitation doesn't sway your judgment. Now, the strategist must ascend higher, preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. People crave progress, yet fear disruption. When leaders push change too fast, resistance flares. Power demands pacing, moving forward while making others feel safe. Barack Obama's rise captured this balance, promising transformation while reassuring stability. Similarly, Tech firms release updates gradually. Too much novelty overwhelms. The defensive wisdom: when faced with sudden change, pause before reacting. Not every innovation is progress. Never appear too perfect. Perfection breeds envy, and envy breeds enemies. The powerful show controlled vulnerability to humanize themselves. Beyoncé often shares glimpses of struggle or imperfection, reminding fans that greatness has scars. To appear too flawless invites sabotage. Let others feel hope through your humanity. But defense matters. Don't weaponize vulnerability for pity. Authenticity, not dramatization, earns trust. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. Greed is the graveyard of empires. Power tempts us to overreach, to keep taking even when we've won. Napoleon conquered too much and lost everything. In business, companies that expand beyond competence implode. The wise celebrate quietly and consolidate gains before seeking more. The defense: recognize when your ambition crosses into arrogance. Power sustained requires self-restraint, knowing the art of the pause. And now the final law, the crown jewel of Greene's philosophy: assume formlessness. Rigidity is death. Adaptability is immortality. Water shapes itself to the vessel, yet never loses essence. The ultimate power is flexibility, the ability to change shape without losing direction. The most powerful entities of our time, from tech giants to individuals, thrive because they evolve. Netflix shifted from DVD rentals to streaming to production. Humans, too, must remain fluid. Relationships, careers, beliefs, all must breathe and adapt. Formlessness is the mastery of ego. When nothing defines you, nothing confines you. You become unpredictable, untouchable, timeless. But defense remains. In your fluidity, keep a moral anchor. The shapeless, without principle, become manipulators. The truly powerful are adaptable in method, steadfast in values. The final lesson: power with wisdom. After 48 laws, one truth emerges. Power itself is neutral. Like fire, it can warm or destroy. Greene doesn't glorify manipulation. He reveals it, so we can see the game for what it is. Power is the art of influence, but influence without conscience corrodes the soul. To wield power wisely, you must master 3 realms. Self-mastery: control your emotions, ego, and reactions. Social mastery: read others, anticipate moves, and build alliances. Moral mastery: use power to build, not to break. The modern world runs on perception. Every tweet, partnership, or silence is a statement of power. But in the end, the strongest are those who no longer chase control. They embody it. Power is not dominance. Power is calmness when others panic. Power is silence when provoked. Power is patience when tempted. And power, ultimately, is freedom. As Robert Greene teaches, and history confirms, those who understand power don't use it to enslave. They use it to liberate themselves from the invisible chains of fear, dependence, and ignorance. Because true power isn't about ruling others. It's about ruling yourself completely. If this message resonated with you, subscribe and join us for more wisdom that fuels growth.